Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about one of my absolute favorite topics ever, and that is scaling your business. And specifically today, what we are going to talk about is how to simplify your business so that you can scale more quickly and more sustainably. I think you know I have a business accelerator called Simplify to Scale. So today, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and share a little bit about what I teach and what I do with so many of my clients when I am helping them to scale, and specifically helping them with simplification first. Because one of the number one mistakes that I see businesses make, and this was one that I made myself in my jewelry business that I've shared about in the past, is you end up scaling too quickly and you scale noise. You scale too much, too fast. You're too all over the place. And when you scale noise and you scale all the things, instead of leaning out first, simplifying first, and getting really clear on what actually is working and what is going to stick around in your business so you know what to focus on when you scale, then you end up adding a ton of extra expenses, a ton of extra overhead, and you don't have a sustainable business model, which is not what we want, right? It's all about sustainable success. And the way that you do that is you simplify so that you can scale. And so today we are going to dive in. I am going to share with you all of the things, and I really hope that this helps you as you look at what that next level is for your business and what comes next for you. Let's start with a really clear distinction between growth and scaling, because these words get used interchangeably a lot, and sometimes people are using them correctly. More often than not, they aren't. And so let's just get really clear on the difference between growth and scaling. Growth is important in business. It's a really important step in business. It's something I also help businesses do. And so I think once you find your product market fit, so you first start your business, you're in that what I call the emerge stage. You're trying a lot of different things. Maybe you're wearing a lot of different hats yourself. You might be working with a lot of different customers. And eventually you find product market fit. You find that thing that you're known for that particular client that you really like to work with at a price point that is the sweet spot of customer feels like they're getting a lot of value. You're generating enough revenue and profit in your business. And so when we first start our business, our number one goal is to get to that place of product market fit. Once we get there, then we start focusing on growing our business. And growing our business is we want to reach new customers. We want to reach more and more people. And growth is great. Growth usually means more revenue. Where you don't want to only be focused on growth and not on scaling is that revenue also requires more resources. So it's going to take you more time. It's going to take you more money. It's usually going to take you more systems and more tools and more processes. And there's a lot more that you're investing in. If you have a small handful of clients, you can handle that with yourself and a VA. It's really not that big a deal. You start to actually grow. Now, all of a sudden, you have hundreds of clients or thousands of clients or hundreds of thousands of clients. All of a sudden, that completely transforms what you need to do. And if you're not careful, it can add a ton of complexity. And I do, as I mentioned, I help people with accelerated business growth, but I do it in a very specific way. And I do it, which is helping them lean out as they're growing, which is what's missing in what most people teach. And so if you're in that stage of business where you're focused on growth, make sure you're also thinking of leaning out, because it's so important. Because here's what happens. When you are growing, the revenue's going up, which is great, but all your expenses are going up too, and your complexities are going up, which means your time investment, usually your level of stress, all of those things are going up with it. And if you're not being really strategic about what you spend your time on, what you invest your money in, if you're not being really, really strategic and also building up a team to support you and really building a rock star team, not just hiring somebody out of desperation to get something off your plate because you're so overwhelmed, you can't just keep up with your day to day. This is like really strategic hires about who's going to help you grow your business and putting the right people in the right roles and making sure that you're developing them. They fit your company culture, all of of those things, which is something that we can dive deep into in a future episode. But with that being said, if you're not leaning out while growing, you're usually working a whole lot more, and sometimes not earning anymore. Sometimes, honestly, you're earning even less because sometimes your resources are outpacing your growth. That's where you have to be really careful with business growth. You absolutely need to grow. You have to grow your business to a certain point, or else you can quickly put yourself out of business. So it's a necessary step, but you also do want to make sure that you are leaning out and you're not just saying yes to everything, and you're not constantly taking on more, and you're not allowing yourself to get so overwhelmed that you're taking your eye off the ball of what really matters. You're not buying all the tools. You're leveraging and optimizing the ones you have. You're not hiring all the people to do all the things and just kind of letting them loose and then being frustrated when they're not getting things done or not delivering things the way that you wanted without ever taking the time to train them or prepare them or really onboard them into your company and your cultures and your values in the way that you need to. And so there's a lot of mistakes that can be made in the growth stage if you're not really careful, really intentional, and really strategic. And I think this is true of all things in business and a lot of what I work with my clients on. So the scale stage on the flip side, to me, scale comes after growth. So I look at the 4 stages of business as emerge, grow, scale, influence. And you as the business leader are sometimes at a different stage than your business is. It's quite often that individuals are more in the influence category, but their business itself might still be in the growth stage or might still be in the scale stage. So if you think about, you've got grow. So grow is where you are increasing your revenues, you are reaching more people, but if you're doing it the right way, you're also leaning out. And so as you're growing, you're getting rid of the things that you don't need to be investing your time and money and energy on so that you're only growing those things that matter. Then you get into scale, and that's where it's at, right? I'm a scaling strategist. This is what I absolutely love helping people do. So if you guys are just coming out of the emerge stage, I help you with accelerated growth in a lean way. When you guys are moved through growth and ready for scale, this is where I think the fun really happens, because at this point, you know what's working. You've gotten rid of the things that aren't working in your business, or if you haven't yet, you start there. That's where we simplify. And then when you get into scaling, that's where you really get that freedom back in your business. You get time freedom, you get financial freedom, you get just freedom of choice, and you get to leverage the things that are working in a really interesting way. And so when you're in the scale stage, you're actually generating more revenue, you're generating more profit. And this is how I look at scale. When you're in the scale stage, you're actually scaling your time investment down. So you as the business owner, you as that visionary leader, you're scaling your time down because you've built up the systems and the team and everything around you and that whole ecosystem that's working really effectively and really efficiently. If you build that and put that in place, which is what I'm going to dive into next with simplification, then your time scales down, and at the same time, you're scaling your leverage, your reach, and your profits up. And who does not want that? I mean, I don't know about you, but I think this is why we go into business. I know a lot of people say, I'm not interested in scaling. I'm really just going to focus on growth. And that's fine, right? Personal choice. I personally am all about scaling. Like, why would you not want to scale? Invest your time in those things that you do best, things that you absolutely love, the things that are your unique zone of genius, and then have a team and an ecosystem around you with systems in place for everything else to function and work like a well-oiled machine. I think when you have that, you can reach so many more people, you can make such a bigger impact, and you can drive so much more profit in your business, which lets you do whatever is important to you. For me, I like to invest back in my team. I like to support my family. I like to live a particular lifestyle. There's certain things that are very important to me. They may be different for you, but there's things that are important to you that generating that profit that you want to generate enables. And that's the key. And so let's dive in and talk about simplification so that you can scale. So simplicity starts with clarity. You can't do simple if you're not clear on what actually matters. And my biggest tip, the thing that I share all the time, if you've ever been in a training with me, I kick off or I mention this in pretty much every training that I do, no matter what I'm talking about, but it's begin with the end in mind. Stephen Covey had this figured out. You always begin with the end in mind. And I think when you know where you want to go, you know what the future looks like, you can then reverse engineer your path to success success, I talk a lot about the importance of vision. And I don't mean vision statement. I mean that vision that you have of the future. And your vision needs to be a balance of three things. It should be your business itself. What's your business known for? How does it help people? What's it the go-to place for your customers? And this is the piece that a lot of people miss is who are your customers and what are they going to need from you in the future? When you think 5, 10, 15 years from now, however far in the future you see for your business, and then you think about your customer today, how is that customer of tomorrow different? Do your current customers grow and evolve with you? So your offers and your offer suite and all the things that you do, you need to have that really clear ascension model for your customers. You're kind of creating a customer for life mentality. Or do you serve a certain market? Maybe you work with startups and you always want to work with startups. Well, then customer attraction is going to be really important for you. Lead generation is going to be absolutely critical because you're always looking to bring in new people. And so you've got to think about your customer of tomorrow just as much as you think about your business of tomorrow, because without those customers, you don't have a business. So how do the two of those fit together? And then you have to think about yourself. I am a big fan of building our business around the lifestyle that we want and putting ourselves in the type of leadership role in our businesses that we want to be in and that plays to our natural zone of genius. And so for you, do you want to spend all of your day as a visionary leader? You truly want to be wearing that CEO hat, setting the vision and inspiring a team of people to go out and kind of take that vision, make it a reality and keep your business running like a well-oiled machine? Or are you more of the doer? You just want to roll up your sleeves and get stuff done. You don't want to set the vision. You don't want a big team. You don't want to be out there trying to inspire people. The idea of being influenced, if you think about those 4 stages of business, you're like, no thanks. I just want to get stuff done and help people. Like, that's really what I'm all about. Well, that's going to be a really different business model. And so just know where you are and where you fall in that. And just make sure that you're building something that aligns with what you actually want to do when you look at that vision. Simplicity, again, starts with clarity, beginning with the end in mind. And what we just walked through is what I do with my clients, obviously in more depth, but where we set that vision. Now, the next thing that you want to do is make sure that your business model is in alignment with that. Let me share with you the complete opposite of a simple and scalable business. So here's a good sign that you do not have a simple or scalable business. Number 1, you've got a highly complex and misaligned business model. Number 2, you have way too many offers or lack of a cohesive offer suite. And there's a sign that you have this if people are like, what do you do? I thought you did this. You also do this. Wait, do you actually help me? I'm not quite sure who you work with. And so if you start to hear questions like that, that's usually a good sign that either you have too many offers, lack of a cohesive offer suite, or just lack of clarity around what you do and who you serve and how you serve them. And also lack of or overcomplicated processes and systems. Things like your launching system, like how you actually sell your products, your marketing, how you do planning, how you onboard new clients, how you offboard clients, how you onboard team members and offboard team members. These are the opposite of simple and scalable. And when you've got these things in place, the reality is that you typically have really inconsistent results. And what that means is inconsistent results for your business itself, but more importantly, inconsistent results for your clients. And that's never a good thing, right? You want your clients to have really consistent, reliable customer experience. So this is the opposite of simple and scalable. That's not what we want. We want simple and scalable. So if the opposite is a complex and misaligned business model, what we want when we begin with the end in mind and you get that clarity on your vision is you want to make sure that you have an aligned and simple business model. I would say lack of alignment is honestly probably the number one thing that keeps people from scaling more quickly and more simply. Part of that alignment is leaning out. And so it's once you know what is in alignment, you need to lean out everything that's not in alignment. And that's the critical piece of that. And so when you combine that clarity with alignment and leaning out things that aren't in alignment, that right there is your secret to scaling simply and sustainably. Once you've got that alignment, now what I see is you've got the foundation in place. You've got that true foundation in place for long-term success and sustainability, which is what you want. But next, you need strategic planning. And specifically, you need lean strategic planning, which is my version of strategic planning. It's the lean out method. And here's why. I have spent more than 21 years helping companies of all sizes with strategic planning. I have done this in Fortune 10 clients, Fortune 500 clients, solopreneurs, small business owners with small teams, you name it, I've done it all. And one of the things that I have seen really consistently is that people make planning way more complex than it needs to be. They invest way too much time in planning, and they're actually introducing a lot of waste, setting themselves up to not achieve their goals by the way that they plan. And I think that strategic planning is absolutely critical if you're not already doing this in your business. It should absolutely be one of the very next things that you focus on. I mean, really, truly critical, but you want to keep it lean. I go into lean strategic planning in other episodes, so I'm not going to go deep into this, but there's just a couple things that I want to talk about in keeping it lean. When you're looking long term, keep things high level. You should always have a clear roadmap. You should know, if you look out for the next 12 months, you should know what your major launches and events are for the next 12 months. When you look out at the next 90 days to 6 months, you should have a high level roadmap of what your major goals and commitments are over that period of time. When you get to your detail that you put into your planning, that should be just in time. You should not have any detail in a plan that's more than 90 days out. And if you're at the beginning of the 90 days, you honestly should not have a whole lot of detail for things towards the end of the 90 days either. What you want to invest your detail time in is that morning or the night before you create your detailed plan for the next day. The Sunday prior to the start of a new week, or Monday morning in the beginning of a new week, or whatever day one of your work week is, that's when you want to create your plan for the week. You really do want to do that detail just in time. And if you have those long-term strategic plans and you put the lean strategic planning practices in place that I talk about a lot, then you should be able to do your planning in 15 minutes a day and 1 hour a week. It's what I call the 15 by 1 model. You really should not need any more time than that to invest into it. In the beginning, it might take you a little bit more because you're learning, but once you get this down and you understand how to properly do lean strategic planning and you're setting those longer term roadmaps and then you're doing your detailed planning just in time, you really should be able to do it in that little time. And the most important thing with the just in time planning is it gives you that freedom and flexibility that you want to be adaptive so that you're committing to the right things to actually move things forward without introducing a ton of waste by pre-planning too much detail too far in advance. When we all know stuff happens, the further out you plan with detail, the more you're going to throw that away or have to pivot your plans. And you don't want that. You really want the planning to be something that's value add and setting you up for success. You don't want it to be a source of frustration because you sunk all this time and effort into a plan and at the end of the day nothing goes according to plan. So once you have that alignment, you want to introduce strategic planning practices, and those strategic planning practices keep you in alignment. They make sure that everything that you are doing is always in alignment with that long-term vision that you have, that business model that you put in place, and with the short-term goals that you're setting. Be really intentional with your time. So make sure that as you're looking at your plans and committing to what you're going to do in a day or in a week, or even looking overall at that 90 days at the priorities that you're setting, make sure that you do that with capacity in mind. All right. So if you are thinking, great, I most definitely want to scale my business and I'm ready to scale my business. I've long since achieved product market fit. I've grown my business and I feel like I'm at that point where I'm ready to actually scale. Then you do want to simplify first. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a combination of strategy, planning, systems, and team. Those are the 4 critical ingredients that are going to help you scale your business and scale simply and sustainably. What this does is it lets you get time back and spend your time focused on more of what you love, more of that zone of genius work, because with that team and with the systems in place, you should be able to get a lot of stuff off your plate that shouldn't be there. Things will be automated that can be automated. Things will be made much more efficient. You'll have the right tools for the right job and the right people in the right roles. So just the systems and team piece of that really does help you quite a bit to get your time back and do more of the work that you personally love. You layer in the strategy and planning, and it helps you to dramatically increase your impact and profitability and really just unlock that next level of visionary leadership for you. Scaling is all about sustainable success in business and really being able to leverage things that are working and really get much bigger impact, much bigger reach from it, much bigger influence, and at the same time, drive up those profits and drive down your time. This is something that I do with all of my clients inside my business accelerator, the Simplify to Scale Business Accelerator. Right now, it's a 6-month program. And the way that we do this is we spend the first 90 days leaning things out. We create that foundation and that aligned business model. We revisit the business model. We look at putting strategic plans in place. We look at actually leaning out everything that's not in alignment so that you have that solid foundation. Once you have that in place, then in the second 90 days, we look at systems and scale. Because again, where we started, one of the big mistakes I see people make is they scale too soon and they scale noise. You do not want to scale noise. At that point, you're scaling all of your complexity, all of your extra expenses, and all of the extra time and energy you're investing in your business. That's the opposite. You want to lean it out first, then you want to scale what's left. That's how I structure the business accelerator. First 90 days, we lean it out. Second 90 days, we systematize and scale. And part of those systems, we look at your team. What's next for your team? How can we up-level your current team or grow your team? If you don't already have a team, how can we build your team? And what does that look like? What's the next strategic hire? And what's that going to enable you to do in your business? We look at your time, like how can you actually take time off? And how can we put systems in place so that you can check out when you're not working and you're not getting constant messages and pings from people on your team with constant questions and they can't do anything on their own without you. If you're in that place, your business is not scaling yet. That's a place where your business is still growing. Those are some of the growing pains of growth and building a team. We want to get to the point with scaling. Your business usually can survive without you. Now, obviously, you're there setting the vision and there's a critical role that you play. But if you build your business properly and you scale your business properly, you can check out and your team will keep things running and keep those profits coming in every single day. So if you are ready for more time freedom, more profits, and really to scale your reach, scale up your business, scale down your time investment, then I'd love to invite you to apply for the Simplify to Scale Business Accelerator. You can learn more at leanoutmethod.com/scale. It's super small circle because we do a really high touch experience. Go ahead and apply if it's something that interests you. But if you want to do this, you're not quite ready for that type of experience, really look at your business and identify where are you? Are you in the growth stage or are you ready for the scale stage or are you already in the scale stage? Really look at where you are and look at how you can simplify. Where can you simplify in your business? Where can you lean things out? And how can you put that solid foundation in place so that you can scale and really take your business to that next level? I hope you got a ton of value out of today's session. As always, would absolutely love if you leave a review. Let me know what you love about the show, and I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.